Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool arcade game repair video for you today. We've got a whole bunch of stuff in the shop at the moment, but one of the things we're going to work on is our buddy Mike's Asteroids Deluxe. So he brought us this the other day, and it's got some kind of board issue or something, and we're going to see if we can get that going for him. So we have done several videos on Asteroids and Asteroids Deluxe before. One of our favorite games to work on, actually. I like how the boards work, and hopefully it won't make a liar out of me if it's something I can't fix. So it's got the original buttons on it. Those get pretty grungy over time. But I believe all he wants us to do is get it to work. It's in pretty nice shape. A lot of these are, though. If they haven't been wet, usually it's pretty good. Side art's pretty nice. So I think what I'll do is what we usually do. We'll pop the back door off and just see how it survived the trip. And if everything looks good, we'll plug her up. So we've got the board and we've got the power supply, the monitor. And I was digging around in there and I found 3/4 back here in the back corner. Now this is interesting. You know, you don't ever know. This is like Oak Island stuff here. You know, they find something on Oak Island and then they go, oh, this means that blah, blah, blah. It don't mean nothing. It just means that the item that they found, like they'll date a coin or something, and then say that means, like if the coin's from 1500, that means that somebody was there in 1500. That don't mean that. It just means that that's a coin from 1500 that came there at some point. So my whole point is, these are all old. So this is like a 1974 coin. So this game was 1980 or 1981. So did somebody put this in there in 81 and they just happen to have a 74 coin in their pocket? Maybe. Or maybe they put it in there in 2024 and then just happen to have a 50-year-old coin in their pocket. We don't really know, you know. It don't really prove anything. But I would guess that, yeah, that probably has been in there a long time. That's probably been in there since the 80s, but we don't know that. And then the second one was from 1977. Same thing. May have been in there quite a while. And then the third one is from 1982. So that doesn't really mean anything. Those could have been put in there in the 80s. Or they could have been put in there last year. We don't know. Just like they don't know on Oak Island. What a great show, though. All right, so everything looks pretty cool. I think what I'll do is I'll pull the connector off of the board so that we can test the 5-volt power supply. The board runs off of several voltages, but the one that's really something is the 5-volt supply. If the 5-volt supply is too high, it could fry some of the boards, and it's common for this power supply to screw up in such a way that it raises the 5-volt up to like 12-volt. So let me unplug that, and we'll check the voltage and go from there. All right, we're going to check with our buddy Todd's multimeter that he sent us. If I can keep from burning myself up. Look how my hand is right on the power transformer. That's just to freak some of y'all the hell out. 5.325 volts. What do you think? Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, that's mighty high, Ronnie. It's supposed to be 5. Well, I just happen to know that the design of that and the design of these Asteroids games, and really all the Atari stuff from this era that uses these AR1 or AR2 power supplies, what happens is that's without a load. Once you plug this board in, that's going to drop that power. And I'm going to test that theory right now in this video, unedited. So let's see. So I've plugged in the board. We've got a red LED on there, which is to say that the 5 volts is present. So let's test it again. Let me do it with the same hand so I don't electro kill myself. .279. Still a little high. So let's move over to the board and see what's actually getting to the board. Now this one, I'm trying to hook the 5.08 on the board. So it's losing some voltage in the harness. All right, so I heard a beep, and then I heard another beep whenever we drug the ground probe across the board. So let's see if we got anything. Yeah, we have a test screen. Let me turn out the lights so we can see it better. Okay. So if I remember correctly, the 0002-02000, I think that's dip switch settings. I think. And obviously the screen isn't adjusted well, so it's too high. I mean, it's not high enough. The vertical, I guess that would be the Y. The Y direction is not adjusted high enough, and the X direction is adjusted too far. So let me see if I can adjust that more square, and then we'll see what it looks like. So that's a little more like what it's supposed to look like. I'm just pressing the buttons. Okay, let me look in the because basically what's going on is whenever we switch it into gameplay, I don't think it's working. Let me look in the manual just to make sure that this is how that's supposed to look. There might be something missing that I've forgotten about. Okay, so this is out of the manual, and yes, it does match that pretty well. So that's pretty much what it's supposed to say. Now, when I hit the buttons, you do hear a beep, so the audio is working, but you don't hear any beeps when you boot the game. There is a beep sequence that tells you if there's RAM problems. So it'll go, beep, beep, which means that the third RAM is all screwed up. It's not doing that. And then there are also, sometimes it will display error messages up here in the top left corner if there is a problem with one of the ROMs. And it's not doing that. So it's telling us everything's fine on the self-test. So let's switch it into gameplay and see what happens. All right, so we're going to try to take it out of self-test. Dead. In test. Out of that's weird. It's not even, there's no monitor chatter. Okay, let me try to coin it up. Wow, won't even coin up. I've never seen one do that. Boy, Mike, you really broke this one, buddy. There we go. Okay, that one time it gave us 2 beeps. I don't know if you can hear it, but there is a chatter to the monitor. There's like a static sound. That's the high voltage of the monitor creating that image. It's the beam moving around to create that image. Now just dead. Beam. Dead. Interesting. Okay, so here is the RAM failure thing, right? RAM failure is indicated by a sequence of low and high beeps. Those were the high beeps that it was making. So it'll go bim, bim. The low beep is really low. It's like, right? So it gave us 2 high beeps, which it's not what it's supposed to do at all. But note the sequence of beeps and determine which RAM may be bad. To restart the sequence, press the reset push button on the game PCB, or set the self-test switch to off, and then again to the on position. Now, it was doing it as we were heading not into the self-test, but into gameplay. But I think it does that too, because I think whenever the game first boots up, it does it. And then it does it going into self-test, and then I guess it does it going back into gameplay, I guess. But you're supposed to get, if you get 1 low, so it goes, then it's L1. If you get 2 lows, then it's L1 and M1. And if you get 1 high and 1 low, then it's M1. So it's possible bad RAM chip locations. If the RAM are screwed up, it doesn't always give you the exact result. So you can see that they're in pairs, right? There's 3 pairs. So if you get 2 highs and 1 low, that means M3. Well, we got 2 highs and no low. So does that still mean M3? Well, it might mean M1. M1's kind of the second one. Maybe we're stuck somewhere between M1 being good and M3 being bad. Or maybe both of them are bad. And then it only does it every once in a while. So what the hell does that mean? Well, it's the RAM test is trying to test the RAM. So, one line of, you could just try swapping M1 and then swap M3. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it back in gameplay and then see why we're getting nothing on the screen. Like, what's going on? Is it just not doing anything, or everything dead, or is it resetting, or what's the deal? All right, so I'm got a little bit different issue than I expected. So this is the CPU. It is a 6502, right? This is pin 40. So the way that you count the pins on a chip is the little dot kind of differentiates the left side of the chip. And then the pin below it at the bottom left is pin 1. So it's 1, 20, 21, 40. So pin 40 on a 6502 is the reset pin. This is the actual reset button. And when we were going into test and out of test, basically we were resetting it each time, but basically we were going in and out of test. So it's running in test, but it's not running in gameplay. I was expecting that pin, the reset pin, which is the watchdog, would be toggling, whereas resetting over and over again. But it wasn't, which kind of made sense because the lights were stuck on the control panel. So that's weird. That's not usually what happens. Some customers came in. So there is a circuit designed into the software of the board where if there is a problem drawing the vectors on the screen, the board will reset. Or if it's a problem running the program, the board will reset. If there's a problem drawing the vectors, what will happen is the monitor will turn off, because if it gets a value too far off the screen, it will turn off so that it doesn't try to draw something that is incapable of drawing, which will burn up transistors on the monitor chassis. So all that to say, when that happens, the monitor just turns off, but you can still hear the game playing. When the program is screwed up, it will reset over and over again, which it will do via pin 40, the reset pin on this chip. That reset pin was not toggling, it was just staying exactly the same as it was when it was in test. If you held down the reset button, it would go low and then go high again like it's supposed to. So it's like, it's not even trying to run the code, or something's going on, right? And at one time we got the 2 beeps, and what's that mean, and blah, 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 blah. So I started looking around. And by the way, this is the famous Pokey. Very cool chip. One of the coolest chips of all time. Pots and keys chip. Potentiometers and keyboard. Okay, so if you look, we've got these two EEPROMs. I think these have to do with like the vector generation, like actually making the image, blah blah blah. And then what's different here? One of the chips has obviously been replaced. So if you look at the numbering of the ROMs, this one says 036799001E. Now above it, it says Atari 8105. So that's the 5th week of 1981 is when that chip was made. Or that chip was burned, actually. But the number under it is 036799001E. And then you have 036800, so that's the next number. And 02E. So this one is a 1 and that one's a 2. And then you have 03643002E. And you have 03643102E. So there's a lot of 2s, right? And then you have, this one's been replaced, and it says 036432-01. So it seems to be the right one. This is 430, 431, 432, 433. But the revision number's different. So it says 02E, 02E, 01, 03E. So we got all kinds of different numbers here. This one was 01E and this one was 02E. So what's the deal with that? So we got a 1, a 2, a 2, a 2, a 1, and a 3. Well, one of the little pieces of trivia about Asteroids Deluxe is that it was really hard. A very hard version of the game. The designer actually replied to one of my videos before, the designer of Asteroids Deluxe, or somebody involved with the design, and he said that they purposefully tried to make it really hard, but they made it too hard. So they made a revision of the EEPROMs that updated it and made it easier. So like with most Atari paperwork, it still exists. So here is a copy of that original paperwork, and it's a little thing where it's telling you some things. And it tells you to replace these chips. And then, luckily for us, it gives us the part numbers. So these are the ones that you replace. Now that first one, that was revision 1, 01E, 01E, is at NP2. And so it is not on here. So apparently you didn't replace that one. That's why it's still revision 1. Okay, and then the next one is R2. And it's there at the bottom, and that's 036800-02, and that's what we've got. So those two chips are correct, and the newer version of the chips. So then moving it down to the bottom row, we have 036430-02E. Got it. And then we have 036431-02E. Got it. And then we have 036432-01. So it's the old hard version of the chip, and not the new version of the chip. That's the one that looks different. So apparently they didn't, at some point, the wrong chip's been put in here. I'm sure they had it up and running at some point. Okay, and then we have 036433-03, which is what we've got. So all that to say, this is an original chip, but you don't update that one whenever you do the new updated software. So see how it says 5th week of 81? So this one you do update, so it's the updated version of the software. It's the 22nd week of 81. So 4 months later, they updated the software. Right, and then down here, 22nd week of 81, 22nd week of 82. Whatever chip they put in here is missing now. And it looks like maybe it was the 11th week of 81. And then 22nd week of 81. So that one's, all of them are correct except this one that looks weird. So it's the right number, it's just the wrong revision. So that may be causing the problem. It's weird that it didn't fail the ROM test though. But maybe, I don't know. You'd think that it would have told us that chip was bad. So let's try burning a new chip that's the correct revision and see if that fixes everything. All right, folks. So, back here at our workbench. So the original chips on that are TMS, which is Texas Industries 2516s. TMS 2516. You can replace a 2516 with a 2716, but not a TMS 2716. So the TMS 2716 is the bastard stepchild of old ICs, old EPROMs. So a TMS 2516 is basically the same as a regular 2716, if that makes any sense. And then after that, the 2732s and the TMS 2732s are very similar too. They work fine. So it was just that one little thing. So all that to say, if you have a TMS 2516, you can replace that with a 2716. So I have found some 2716s. I've got one here that seems to be erased. And we have a little UV eraser here on our bench that we use. And then what we've always programmed with for many years, we've had this 20 years at least, this is a pocket programmer made by Intronics. It says in Edwardsville, Kansas. Is that Kansas? So it hooks up, this particular one hooks up with parallel port, believe it or not. And we've got a little, we've actually been able to run a couple PCs running the software. We've got Windows, is this Windows 10, I think? But we've got the old Pocket Programmer 2 software that I guess was originally designed for Windows 98 or something. And it seems to work just fine on it. So the problem we have, though, is a lot of times these older chips, they will test as erased, and they actually will erase, but they won't. You can't run a full program on them. It won't take it. So I'll try it, though. So we have loaded the file. One of these days I'll do that fancy smancy stuff where you just show the screen, and you know we have a screen view. But load buffer, we've already loaded the file on there, which is 432-02. We have it set for 2716. It's saying that it's blank. Let's see if we can program it. So what I like to do is program it twice. Now you might say, well, why would you program it twice? Well, in case it's not strong enough. That's why. Okay, don't worry about it. It's kind of like when you burn the image into the EEPROM. You know, it's all ones and zeros basically. Switches set on and off. Well, if one of them isn't quite all the way how it's supposed to be does, it might, you know, not be correct. And we're talking about like there's like a million little ones and offs on there, or however many it is, 1,000, 10,000, whatever. I guess that's what the K is. Look, you can figure out the math. But if you burn it twice, it will go through and basically double do it. So it's kind of like doing a tattoo. If you were to tattoo something, it would be kind of faint. You go do it again, it's a little darker. That's kind of the idea behind it. Typically, burning it once is fine. It's going to work just fine. But there have been instances where you burn it, you put it in the machine, it fails the ROM check, you bring it back and look, and there's one bit that's off because it didn't take or whatever. It took for a little while and then went back. If you do it twice, it seems like you don't run into as many problems. Okay, so at the end of doing that, after it burns, it verifies it. It even says right here, device verified to buffer. But I'm going to hit verify device again just to make sure. And it seems like we've got that file now burned on that chip. That PROM that was in there, that's the revision 1, it must have the same pinout as a 2716. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop it in the programmer here and just read it and see if it just see if it verifies. I'll bet it'll be slightly different. Okay, so I swapped out the chip. Now, clearly, it's a different revision, so there's a reason, I'm sure. So let's see if it verifies. Let's see just how different is it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's different. Yeah, that one's real different. So there are places where it expected there to be nothing in there. And then there are places where it expected there to be something in it. I'm going to win a cinematography award again. It expected there to be something in it, but the wrong thing is now in it. So it isn't even close. Yeah. So it's very different. Even though it's the same revision. Huh. That's interesting. I mean, not the same revision, the same chip. It's just a different revision. I wouldn't have expected that much stuff to be different. But here we are. Okay, so let's see if the board boots now. Got the board back in with the new EEPROM on it. Let's see what she wants to do. Well, let's turn out the lights. You can come with me to turn out the lights. While we wait for the monitor to warm up. Tube CRT technology, folks. Oh, it's working so good, it's blurry. There you go. I think that fixed it. I don't know. I didn't see the gameplay yet, but it looks right. Yeah. Okay, let me set up the tripod. We'll play it a little bit, just make sure everything's cool. Well, I thought I had the camera on, but it's playing just fine. Very cool. Put another credit on it. So the monitor is jumping a little bit. So the monitor is probably ready to be serviced. Well, you can see the video. Vector monitors are kind of hard to film because it's just the intensity of the image is a little different than normal. So my cheap little camera lens doesn't pick it up very well. a little buzz in the speaker. That's cool. Such a fun game. I should have bounced or ran. I couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. All right. Okay, very cool. All right, folks, so I think that'll do it for this. We got it up and running. It basically it had the wrong ROM in it. I don't know if there was a problem with that ROM and somebody slid the wrong one in there or what, but new ROM fixed it right up. And apparently it will pass the ROM test if you've got the wrong version of the ROM in. I never would have guessed that, because you'd think that the checksum would be different. But it didn't. You saw the test screen. It wasn't failing the ROM test. So that's interesting. Maybe it's got. Maybe there's some remnant of the code where it's got two different ROM checksums that it can check for each ROM or something. I don't know, but whatever. I've been sitting here letting this thing run a little bit, and the monitor is not shaking anymore. I saw it moving a little bit while we were playing it, so I think we'll watch it a couple days and just see what happens. Also, the monitor, the mirror could be cleaned up a little bit. You can see a little bit of the artwork behind the mirror, so that light up there is working, but I think it's just all dusty and dirty. So we got a little bit of that stuff we might do. We'll see if Joe feels like taking it to the next level, or if the customer would prefer to do it, and then we'll go from there. So I hope you enjoyed it. Leave your comments down below. Now, if you like watching these Asteroids repair videos, it's kind of an interesting board to work on. The Asteroids board is very similar to the Asteroids Deluxe board. So the problems with either board usually will help you fix either board, if that makes any sense. So if you run into a problem with an Asteroids Deluxe board, you can look around and check out what people have done with regular Asteroids boards, and sometimes it'll lead you to the solution. So if you want to see some more Asteroids board repairs, I'll put up a whole playlist that we've done here of Asteroids repairs. The mighty Asteroids. There's many of them still left in the world, and a lot of them still work. And we've fixed our share of them over the years. So check out that playlist, and we will see you back here next time. Hope you enjoyed it.